Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host. I'm excited to be making this episode. I'm very sorry for the background noise. I'm about to pick my daughter up from school, and so I'm in a car park. Because what's weird is that when I parked up, there was no car, and I sat here for about 5 minutes, and there was no car passing by. All of a sudden, I'm now trying to record. There's just cars everywhere. It's like, central London or something, which is crazy. But anyways, I'm really excited about making this episode because we're going to be talking about seduction. And seduction is a very interesting one because I was speaking to somebody on a call, a free strategy session. And really, when I say free, it's completely free. We mapped out a seduction process for him. And it was after me. I'd asked the questions: how long have you been married? What's your dynamics like at home? What's going on? And we went through all these so I could better understand the situation, so I could diagnose the actual issue. And then we discovered that it was the seduction. So I asked him the other question: what do you think is seduction? And he told me what it was. And like 9 times out of 10, usually when people tell me about seduction, it's a version of what Hollywood is and a little bit of what porn is. So it's just this weird blend of that. And really, most people have blended that. And when you look at it from a Hollywood perspective, they've got a constraint when it comes to seduction. So the constraint is that the film generally is about 90 minutes long, generally, and they try and fit in as much as they can in that 90 minutes. So you got to imagine, when it comes to seduction and the actual person meeting the lady and the actual maybe getting to bed, it could be equal to about 3 minutes, which is probably very short. And again, it's not practical within a real life experience. And again, when we think of the seduction, they slow down the movements, they put the music, and they get you emotionally involved. And it could be arousal, it could be desire, there's certain emotions that they tap into, and then we associate that as being the way of doing seduction. Now, when you think about it, that's not how it is, because if that's how it was, we wouldn't be here, this podcast, talking about sexless relationships. So there is something else when it comes to seduction. And for anyone who doesn't know, I was a pickup artist when I was growing up, and I was part of this community. And I remember the time when I started, it was a large amount of rejection. So I used to live in a small town in England, and I started trying to pick up girls. And I remember I had to overcome quite a few things in terms of just approaching. So I used to have a lot of approach anxiety. Like, I just felt like if I approached a girl, she would scream at me, and then everybody would see me being screamed at, and then I would sort of chicken out. So I had to overcome approach anxiety, and I started sort of approaching. And then all of a sudden, I realized from that reference experience that nine times out of 10, nobody's going to sort of scream at you, because again, women fear to be looked at as bitches, but at the same time, she's not going to make it easy for you. So I did that, and then once I started getting over the approach anxiety, for me and my friend realized that we really need to move to London in order to really perfect our skills, because the dating pool then was a little bit smaller. Whereas if you move into London, literally there's people from all over the world, and there's a place called Leicester Square, which is at any given time, within an hour, there's over 100,000 people walking past, which is, it's not even an overestimation. Like, literally there's always thousands and thousands of people. And that being said, so there's a lot of women that pass by, so there's a lot of people that you can approach. So literally we're approaching anywhere between 60 to 100 people a day. So we started getting very good at really picking up on different signals, having a feel of the conversation. And these are intangibles that you get good at seeing. So intangibles as in you start sort of seeing the energy, and then using that energy to move it from warm as in cold as in not attracted, not feeling horny, and then to absolutely hot where she's attracted, feeling horny, and wants to strip you naked. So we started getting a feel for it. And again, this is just based off a lot of reference experiences. So over a period of time, we started trying to analyze what was the thing that changed. Because I remember when we moved into London, the first, I would say, 2 months were the most horrible 2 months. We were making approaches, and literally every single time we were being shut down. And you just got rejection after rejection. And we got to the point where it was just absolutely torture to ourselves. But we knew that we had to go through this process because we had to learn. Like, we wanted to learn. We'd moved all the way from the small town all the way to London, and with nothing else to do. Because what pushed us to keep going was the fact that if you went to say you want to go and approach, and then you went and just stood there, and then you're watching, and then you didn't do anything, when you go home, it was the most difficult scenario because you'd beat yourself up so much for not even trying that it was more painful to not do anything than actually being rejected. So being rejected was much better feeling than the absolute assault that you do to yourself when you don't do anything. Now, I'm telling the story. Hopefully, I'll bring it home for you guys. So this was a very important part, and there's a point when we started getting results. So after about sort of 60 days, up 2 months-ish, all of a sudden we started getting results. And one of the things that, like I said, that changed was the fact that we started really knowing how to calibrate the conversation and then use intangibles to move the conversation. So intangibles as in the energy that they're feeling, and there will be different energies you could control. You could control excitement, you could control intrigue, you could control arousal. So you could control these things, and we started realizing you could control this. But most people would think when it comes to controlling those things, it's more of you talking a lot more or saying things a bit louder or being more charismatic. And they'll think that's what you have to do. So most people would think they have to put more effort in order for that to happen. But it isn't. The weird part about it was that you had to actually do a thing we used to call it lean back. So you had to lean back even more. So what that was just creating this gap. At the moment I call it gap seduction. So you create a gap or a vacuum within the interaction so that they feel a responsibility to fill that gap. So I'll give you an example of this. So when we do the interaction, the initial part of the interaction is similar to you pushing a big rock up a hill. And then when you get up the hill, when she's now at least attracted, is similar to getting to the top of the hill, and then you let go of this big rock, and then it starts rolling on itself. So really, the main effort, the effort that you needed to put in was in the first parts of the interaction. For the interaction to go well, you had to step back out of the interaction and then allow that person to start getting invested in the interaction. Now, this is the most important part about seduction. That is how you get that person committed into that seduction. Because most people, they really try and eliminate any effort from the woman because they feel like if you can remove all resistance for that woman, it makes it easier for the actual seduction itself. But it actually makes it more complicated, and it makes, because they're not invested in it, they don't see the value in it. And again, I'll say that again, if they're not invested in the seduction, then they won't see the value within what you're going to be doing, so the sex at all, because you've removed any part of them getting invested in it. And I think it's a part of again, Hollywood, they've skewed it for that men are always chasing. Even I think the worst one is romantic comedies where they make fun out of men chasing women or wanting sex. It's something that is completely wrong. But the when you look at the male character, is this real push to try and get sex, and that they have to be doing certain things in order to get sex, and then obviously the woman finds joy in shutting the man down, which is again a different topic for another episode. So this is very important, that you have to get the other person invested, and you have to create that gap within the seduction. So I'm already on the 10-minute mark, and I would like to keep going right now. If you want to get a map of how to seduce and how to create that gap and be able to do this, like I said, we had this conversation. It was a free seduction. It was a free strategy call. Took them through the situation, got them a idea of what they need to do. So they walked away with everything that they needed in order to start seducing their partner. Now, you're probably wondering, well, why did you give it for free? Or you're not selling something? Yes, we're selling a program, but this is how we get clients. I would like to give you a result first before I ask you to become a client. In fact, sometimes we won't even ask you to become a client. 9 times out of 10, you are the one that's going to come and say, I really like what you've said. It's working for me. What else have you got? And then we'll walk you through what it entails to be a client. So this risk-free. We are in the process of taking on 5 guys who we want to take through the program, and we're going to take them through the program for free. If you want to qualify for that, you need to go to the Instagram, and the Instagram is Thriving Tribesmen, and DM us and say case study. So you can be part of the case study group. The only caveat for you to actually join in, you have to be prepared to give a testimony. The testimony, you don't have to put your face, so we can blur out your face. We can, so that if you want, you keep your privacy. But we'll take you through the program. You have to be serious about it. You have to be committed. You'll be able to be committed to finishing the program. And I can guarantee you what you will get from there is life-changing principles that will get you not only you laid with your partner, but get her like crazy about you. And not just that, but also succeed in life. So it's not just about seduction. There's more to it. The other part about it is that you actually going to be growing as a person and evolving. And really, like one of the guys that I spoke to recently, for years he had not been able to go and speak to his boss about getting a pay rise, and he found the courage because we coached him through it. It was like, you deserve, this is how you demonstrate your value to when you're having that conversation. And again, he used the principles of the gap. You know, he said what he needed to say, and then he went quiet, and then allowed the awkwardness of the conversation for the manager to actually start speaking. And then as he was rambling on, we showed him how to do a tie down. So he did the tie down sequence. So again, that's something else I can show you if you come to the call. So I'm really excited to be shared this. I think I might make a second episode or a follow-up episode for this episode, but I'll keep it short and I'll keep it here. Hopefully you're as excited about this as I am, because we are going places, guys. Like I said, there's case study. If you want to be part of the case study, we're only taking 5 people, so it's filling up really quickly. So if you have to make your move right now, because we already have 2 positions filled, so probably by the end of the week it will be all filled up, and then we want to get started by Monday. We'll get started and we'll be doing the coaching sessions, and hopefully by the weekend you'll be getting laid, guaranteed. Because we've done that. Most of the people that were spoken on the calls, they've been able to do it within a week. And again, guarantee you within 2 weeks, definitely you'll be in the process of being able to do it. Obviously, they don't have medical conditions or anything like that, but you'll be definitely connecting with a partner in a different way. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll be seeing you soon. Take care.